First, it has to stay in the blood in a pH range of 7.38 to 7.42. This little range. If it gets 1 degree in either direction for 1 full hour, the likelihood you're dead. That's how important it is to the body. 1 degree is like, I can't remember, 100,000 or 1,000,000 times difference in regards to the way the body functions. So 1 hour and you're dead. So the body starts to go acidic. What is it going to do? It says, I'm not getting what I need to become alkaline. So it gets distracted. It wants to become alkaline. So it pulls calcium out of the bones to make calcium bicarbonate. Well, that sounds like it's weakening the bones, which we have a lot of osteoporosis and things occurring, right? It's epidemic. In doing so, it forms this bond, which is baking soda, by the way. Okay? And just like baking soda, when you pour it on battery at terminals, it bubbles and sizzles because it neutralizes the acid. Problem is, it's a weak bond. Falls apart in your muscles and your synovial fluid and forms what they call free-floating calcium. It's the scourge of the body. All these people that take extra calcium because they say they're calcium deficient, they're calcium deficient because they have a fungal infection. Okay? And so you got this scourge of the body that goes into joints, and it's like sand in the joints, grinding down the cartilage, causing arthritis and all sorts of inflammation in the muscle tissue. Okay? It binds with fats and forms like a sludge in your arteries, forming plaque. It comes through the kidneys and causes kidney stones and damage to the nephrons, which are purifying your blood. The last-ditch effort of the body to become alkaline, what does it do? Anybody know? It produces ammonia. Who's been into a cancer ward? What does it smell like? Dirty ammonia. Because they're pumping all these chemicals into these people that shouldn't be there. And it's bonding with the ammonia, and it smells like the smell of death. You've heard of the expression. Who's been into an old folks' home? What does it smell like? Urine. It's not coming from their pants. It's coming out of their skin and their breath because they're so acidic. Okay? So you can see where we're having trouble with carbohydrates. You can see where we're having trouble with acidity. The body's trying to compensate. You can see where we're having arthritis and other inflammation in the muscle tissue. Okay? So let's talk about where it's growing. It's growing primarily, and the key here is the gallbladder. You know that's the number 3 operation in the U.S. is a gallbladder operation. I had a doctor, I was telling her this scenario, and she goes, that's why. And I said, what do you mean that's why? She repeated, that's why. I said, what? She goes, well, I'm a surgeon, and I cut out gallbladders all the time, and every time I open them up, they're all wide inside. Interesting, huh? So what does a gallbladder do? You know, they can just cut it out. It's no big deal. Bile. What does bile do? Breaks down fat. It actually emulsifies and allows enzymes in to break down. What does fat make? Cholesterol. Because bile is cholesterol. It's used cholesterol bound to minerals because the spleen crushes the minerals, takes the extra minerals, so like a recycling plant, bonds it to used cholesterol and waste material, forming bile acid to digest fats, but to recirculate the minerals back into your system. Okay? So, it breaks down the oil into cholesterol, and cholesterol goes into pregnenolone. Pregnenolone is the master hormone to all hormones. Pregnenolone. It makes DHEA, testosterone, estrogen, everything. So the pregnenolone goes to the adrenals, and it breaks it up to all these different things that we need to function properly, to balance. And what do hormones do? They regulate things. Heart function, liver function, kidney function, moodiness, sex drive, immune function, everything. So when the body's not, if the gallbladder's clogged up and it can't secrete the bile, it can't digest fast, can't make cholesterol, can't make pregnenolone, can't feed the adrenals, you become hormone deficient. And so you have a cascade of malfunctions occur in your body that you just don't understand why. Okay? This is just the starting point here. Now this bile is being backed up into the liver because the gallbladder is all clogged up. What's the liver going to do? Whoa, I'm trying to get rid of this waste material. I'm trying to do something here. Now, just to function properly, I have to reassimilate it and try to get it out some other mechanism of the body. So when it's trying to reassimilate it, in the liver ducts, it starts to put a coating of used cholesterol, wax. It's like a waxy material, causing what they call a fatty liver. But it also inhibits the liver from functioning properly. What does the liver do? It makes every chemical in the body. So if the liver's not functioning, you're not functioning. So the liver basically starts to malfunction. It can't make the chemicals it needs. It can't excrete the waste material it's supposed to be excreting. We end up taking that material and storing it into fat because it's waste material, and the body always encompasses waste material in fat to protect the body. See how the chain reaction just keeps on going? By the way, if the liver gets too big, it puts resistance against a main artery that goes to your lung, and then you start to have lungs don't breathe as well. Okay. So a lot of people don't know that the pancreas ties into the bile duct. Like that. Now, in my demo, I show the actual, it can tie in here, it can tie right before it goes in the digestive tract, or it can tie directly into the digestive tract. When it ties directly in, the likelihood your family's not prone to diabetes. If it ties in here, you may have some problems, but you're not until you're older. But when it ties in here, when this backs up, it backs bile up into the pancreas, causing the pancreas to spit out insulin. So initially, you get hypoglycemic. That's why you're always hypoglycemic before you're diabetic. It spits out insulin. And insulin is the number 2 cause of aging. Is this starting to kind of see a trouble here? Yeah. So with the pancreas spitting out insulin and damaging the cell structure and causing you to be hypoglycemic, making you eat more carbohydrates. Yes. Why do you think when people get diabetes and children get it, their immune system isn't fully developed? And this bile is going in there and it brings waste material and stuff that causes an infection that they can't control. Pancreatitis, what do you think that is? Okay? Okay, so you can see that if you have the gallbladder, your hormone levels are off whack, your liver's off whack, it's causing a cascade of malfunctions through the whole system. You're moody, sex drive, you're craving carbohydrates, short-term memory because the fungus gives off what I call bowel movement, waste material, which is like ethanol, like a gasoline, and it passes the blood-brain barrier, starts tearing the myelin sheath on the nerve endings, and causes short-term memory. Okay? So, anybody have any questions at this point? Yes? Okay, I've had at least 30 or more people call me up scheduled for a liver gallbladder removal. 30 out of 30 within 1.5 days they had no problem. Okay? 1.5 days. And it's not that hard. Yes? Well, when you get hypoglycemic and you're shoving in, insulin into these cells, they start to resist it like anything. That is too much is too much, and they start to push back and cause chemical reactions that make you insulin resistant. Okay? That's fatigue in the middle afternoon is a very common symptom of hypoglycemia. By the way, the gallbladder, if you wake up like between 2 and 3:30, that's when the gallbladder cycles. Okay? Yes? So you had a fungal infection. Okay? And it clogged it up. And versus dealing with it, where the doctors say these processes don't work, and they do, right? They cut it out. And so now you've got bile dropping into your digestive tract. Instead of storing, it drips 24/7. And it doesn't save up for when you have a heavy meal to digest fats, to make your hormones, and to make you function properly. By the way, it also digests fats like omega-6. Oh, yes. Come on.
So detox of the gallbladder, liver, and pancreas should start your hormones all working properly.
Absolutely. I'm be 58 in April 15th. You can send me a card if you like. And I play 25 games of racquetball a week. I'm the strongest person I know in this room, and I'll prove it. And I don't work out. Okay? Other than playing racquetball, because that actually tears down muscles. That doesn't build them up. But no injuries, no joints, no anything, and I'm running around like an 18-year-old. Okay? So you can stay healthy. You don't have, everybody says, oh, I'm getting old, I have arthritis, I have a trigger finger. These are not normal. And you don't have to have these things. Okay, so let's talk about low body temperature. Now, why is low body temperature a factor? What does it mean? Obviously, low body temperature has to deal with the thyroid. Metabolism, and that's what the thyroid regulates, right? Well, enzymes. The enzymes, are they alive or dead? Alive. Wrong! They are chemicals. When they say they are alive, they're chemically active. Okay? So they're not alive. They're chemically active. So salt is a chemical. Okay? If you take a pitcher of ice cold water and you pour salt in it, what is it going to do? Go right to the bottom. Sink to the bottom. In fact, I just saw a movie talking about pumping in salt, and they sent it to the bottom floor because they wanted the drugs to come up later, or the money to come up later, and the salt dissolved and the money floated. Okay? So if it's ice cold water, but if you have hot water in there and you put salt in it, what happens? It dissolves. Because it chemically has the right temperature to react. Same with enzymes. They have chemical reaction times. And in the body, it's tenths of seconds and sometimes hundreds of seconds. When you lower body temperature, you start to deactivate enzymes. What I mean by deactivate, they operate slower and slower and slower. And when the body needs to run like this, and you're running like this, it isn't working right. The body's not working right. So when at 98.2, you're activating almost all your enzymes. You don't have to be 98.6, although some people function a little bit better at 98.6. But 98.2 is the really where you start to deactivate enzymes. Okay, there's a little box somewhere. When you're that low, you need to resolve it because you look younger, but you feel like shit. Okay? It's because you're not overcooking the meat. Okay? So I like a temperature of 98 to 98.2 personally, but your deactivate enzymes, it's tolerable down to 97.8. But after that, you start to deactivate a lot of enzymes. And they make a lot of chemicals in your body, and if they can't make those chemicals, you do not function right. If you talk to somebody that's been ill and has tried everything, I'll bet you $100, maybe 1,000, that they have low body temperature. Because they try everything, they just can't take anything, they can't digest the things that they're supposed to help them. Is this making sense? I'm a very basic kind of guy. I look at what causes things and what's the mechanics to fix them. Okay? Why does the thyroid go off kilter? Why does the temperature go down? Well, you got the caveman to blame, and for a good reason, actually. It's the reason we're around, and some animals aren't. Okay? Because if a caveman fell off a cliff and broke his leg, he can't hunt. He can't gather. He's stuck, and he's prone to having an animal chase him down and kill him. Right? If an animal doesn't catch him, and he can hide while the leg's healing, he has a limited amount of resources to sustain himself. But if he lowers his temperature, he can last another couple of weeks with the body fat and things in his system to survive and get the leg healed. Okay? Because he goes into this fight or flight mode. And this fight or flight mode converts the T3 from a left-hand molecule to a right-handed molecule, and only 5% of the body accepts the right-handed molecule. The temperature goes down, and he's able to survive. So the leg heals up, he chases down an animal, kills it, eats it. The stress is gone now. No stress. The body converts. Everything's copacetic. Now in our society, we have a car accident. We break a leg. We have a divorce. The IRS called last night. Whatever it is, the body goes in this fight or flight mode, right? And it's dealing with this situation. But the stress never goes out of our society. The kids need to be tucked up, they're late, the rent's late, the job, it looks bad, I don't know what's going to happen. And the body doesn't convert back. So the temperature starts, and you don't notice it initially because the body's doing its functions, and when you eat, it raises a little bit so it can do the primary functions, but over time, it starts to degrade the system. Any questions? God, I must be doing a good job not getting any questions. Yes?
197 out, 24 hours a day, so how do you raise it?
Okay, this...
If I want to raise it, I might start to look like I'm 53.
Okay. The thing is, you always want to function as best as possible. Looks are great, and there's other ways to address looking good, right? You take a lot of nutrition to keep your cells younger and this, that, and the other. But functioning properly is a key point. And so what I do is an 18-day protocol of detoxifying, because there's no difference between physical stress and mental stress on the body. They're equal. They still cause the fight or flight situation. So what I originally was going after is mental stress, and I was getting about 75% success rate. When I addressed physical stress, like a fungal infection, I started getting 100% success rate. Okay? And by the way, I actually discovered this in reverse order. I detoxed people for years and years and years, and I was having a 10% failure rate. And that just kills me, because you're talking to people day in and day out, and then they're not getting better. That just destroys me. So I discovered that there was a correlation between the failures and low body temperature. And that's how I discovered that. Took me 2 years. Okay. So, we talked about fungus being the #1 cause. That it incubates in the gallbladder and the sinus cavity. Everybody has sinus inflammation. Yes? Little to no effect. It's a temporary, localized situation. Your system is through everything. You warm up your throat, and a little bit of your stomach is not going to have much of an effect.
What was the question?
Oh, the question was if drinking hot fluids would help your temperature, and very little. What's that? Cayenne tricks the body into thinking it's being damaged. So it does respond to that, but it's still temporary. Unless you're addressing the stress, both directions, both physically and mentally. Yes?
Have you written a book, or is there someplace that describes the protocol?
I have my 18-day protocol. We can email it to you. I don't put it on the internet because I try to stay low profile. FDA is out there just taking people to the cleaners for nothing. You know, if I put a testimonial that somebody got better, that's fraud, because how could they get better? It's not, it wasn't a drug. And if they got better, it should be a drug. They can tell their soul story, but if it's on my webpage, Jim Cole, who is here, had a big company for like, I don't know, 25 years, like $20, $30 million. Ethical products, unbelievable products, right? They sent him a notice saying, you are, your website is illegal. Calls them up and says, what do I need to do? Well, you do this, this, and that. Shut down the website that day. Says, I want to work with you guys, I'll do whatever it takes, I don't want any trouble. 2 weeks later, they came in with 80 guns, took all his product, took all his money out of his accounts, left them penniless, at least with what they thought they had, right? So that he has no way to fight them. This is just in the last year. He's down here, you can talk to him. He's at the Turbosonics. He's helping in the booth. The point being, they want us out of the system because it's affecting the pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, I'm going around fixing a headache in 30 seconds or a minute or two, right? I'm taking pain out of people's knees and joints in 20 seconds. They don't want us around here. I get rid of what you know what fibromyalgia is?
Yes.
Let me give you a glimpse of what fibromyalgia is. It's stress-induced, and it's from toxicity. The brain is having trouble communicating with the rest of the body. So you bump your arm. The brain knows there's some damage, but it can't see how bad it is. And if it's real toxic, it really has trouble. So it says, oh, I better be safe than sorry, I'll produce a bunch of cortisol. Because the brain loves cortisol, body loves cortisol, and it repairs things. So it sends all this cortisol down here. But this is skirmish, it's no battle. Comes back up to the brain. Number one cause of brain damage is excess cortisol. Okay? It drowns the brain cell, starts to kill the brain cell, it fires. It's normal operation. The muscles contract, lack of blood flow, pain. My little pill, daisy flowers, grape leaves, and all of the fractions. The FDA does make me tell you that you cannot exceed more than 5,000 tablets a day. Because you may get an upset stomach. But that little pill, in 10 or 12 minutes, normalizes the cortisol, muscles relax, pain goes away. Fibro solution. I don't try to sell it. I never sell it unless somebody tries it first, because there's two kinds of situations like that. One's the one I just mentioned, and then there's 20% of the people that their body temperature is low and they have a virus in the muscle that's mimicking fibromyalgia. So I'm very ethical. If you want to call out my office and ask for samples, I send samples. Okay, yes? What's this again? Okay, well, you're just extremely stressed, and you may want to try our adrenal cortex, which we will give samples at the booth. I'll spray it right then. In 10 or 12 minutes, you'll feel 40 to 60% better. Yes?
So lowering cortisol, that's in the brain, or you have to
Right.
whatever. So that would lower cortisol throughout the body.
It has mechanisms specifically for the brain. I can't say it will go for other places. Okay? I've never really thought about it. All I can tell you is tight shoulders, women, live with tight shoulders more than men do. And they say, oh, it's normal. I said, what's your pain level? They go, oh, 6. I said, why do you guys live with pain? Right? This is the same mechanism. It's a form of fibromyalgia. It's stress. And this pill, gone. Uh-oh, somebody's rubbing over here. The spray works, but on a local basis, it's better to kill off the problem, because if it's drowning your brain cell and it's the number one cause of brain damage, what is it doing to your brain? Killing it. Okay, so let's talk about the number 3 cause, root canals, bad teeth. I am going to make a toothpaste. I'm having it developed right this minute. I've already doing it myself. It works incredibly well. Nothing like anything on the market, but it's being stabilized by my chemist to make sure that it looks and tastes like it should. Mine tastes like crap. Okay? But it will taste good. I'll make it taste decent. But root canals do not work. And the reason they don't work is you have a tooth. You have a root system. And you have a sensor in the center of it saying, hey, there's a problem with the root system. We got to do something, or you're going to be in a lot of pain. The dentist, they drill out the center. They can't go peripheral. The root system's like this. They only can go straight down. It's not like drilling an oil well now that they can go sideways. Right? They go straight down, they kill the nerve off, and then they pack it with antibiotics which don't kill fungus. Now, what I learned, and I hate to say that I actually learned something recently, Marcola is a good friend of mine, did a little 15-minute spiel on it. But he talked about that when they choke it off, I just figured that there's fungus in here growing that is encapsulated, right? And it puts out waste material 24/7, the most rancid material, and all of a sudden your knee's not working, you have arthritis here and this, that, and the other. It's all coming from here and you don't even know it because there's no pain. But he talks about that when you choke it off and you damage the membranes down there, that the good flora that keeps the tooth in check, because of lack of oxygen, turns into bad bacteria, causing more problems. So the only choice you have when you have a bad tooth to that extent is pull it. Put an implant, but you gotta find the right material to do that, or a bridge. Because, I'll tell you the story. I had a girlfriend, 30 years old. She had not been able to function for 3 years. Could barely get out of bed. I did my normal detox. She got 80% better. That ain't very good when you're in my field, right? And I'm starting to think, why? What happened? And then I went back to basics. I said, you have any back teeth? She goes, yeah, I root canal 3 years ago. I said, pull that. Totally infected. Totally infected. Had it cavitated twice because it was so deep. Now she's 100%. I had a woman come in about a year and a half ago. She had thyroid cancer. Asked her the same basic question. Do you have any bad teeth? Oh, no, my teeth are good. No root canals? Oh, yeah, I do. I said, if it were me, I'd pull it. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that's what I would do, and I gave her the reasons. Oh, I don't want to do that, that's my teeth, and I'm bridge, and I'm a little short money. I said, look, you have cancer, and you got to do what you need to do to get better. You got to support your body every single way you can. You just can't half-ass it. Most people say, well, I'll take this supplement, but I don't want to do that. When you got cancer, you do whatever it takes. So I put her with a dentist that was out in Ventura, which is like an hour and a half for her to drive, because she's the only one that I thought that would do it properly. 10 minutes. She went on her website, and in the teeth, she could click on a tooth, and it would tell the meridian of the body. And if you don't know what a meridian is, it's like an acupuncture point that is like where circuits in your body coincide to make things happen. Okay? So an acupuncture hit that stimulates that nerve and makes that immune system, that area work better, and things get better. Okay? So she pulled on the tooth that was root canal, and it went to her thyroid. She decided to pull the tooth. She didn't want to pull the other one. She pulled that one. Pulled it. It was so infected. Now, I don't know if, I would say a majority of you have had teeth, wisdom teeth and everything. Usually you pull it, I only had one tooth removed, and it was because there was a kind of a V, and then there was a pocket where the infection could grow. So I thought, it's no big deal, I'll just pull it so I don't have to worry about it. I was eating like 2 hours later. Didn't even, it was no big deal. For 3 days, she was in agonizing pain. There was so much inflammation and everything in there. So she ended up pulling the second tooth, and it was all infected. Now, she didn't have as much pain as the second one, but the first one, 3 days, I finally had, she called me up the second day. I told her how to take care of her. But you can see. Yes? No, none.
What's the question?
Well, the question is, there's laser technology, and laser is a whole new field coming up where it can penetrate up to a quarter to a half inch, depending on the frequency, into the tissue and kill bad guys off. But it has to have the right frequency, and it has to go deep enough, right? And the problem is, most of the teeth are like this far from the sinus cavity. And they're pretty damn deep. I mean, if you ever pulled your tooth, it's that long. My guess that if it's a small infection, things of that would work. Other than that, no. That's my guess. Yes? Absolutely, positively, yes. Imagine you have this huge inflammation, and you open it up, and it spreads poisons that are the most toxic waste material. I mean, what do they do when the person buys a horse, they look at the teeth, how healthy that horse is, right? What's the old saying? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, right? You're giving it as a gift, don't look at how healthy it is, right? So, yes, absolutely. Those toxins go right past into the brain and screw them up. I would definitely think twice about it. Oh, the question was she had 2 root canals. She has Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid problem, and she's healing in other ways, but she's talking about that she probably should get rid of that, and I agree. Okay? I'm willing to bet if you go on this site, that tooth is probably directly related to this, and Hashimoto's is an autoimmune problem to the thyroid. Yes?
So 2 things. How can you tell, are you able to tell them, in fact, the root canal, 2 doesn't?
Well, if you don't have any discomfort, you may have an infection, but it's not visible yet. 5 more minutes, guys, so that's all I've got. There are certain practitioners that do this finger thing, and they put yours on the tooth, and they can detect if there's a correlation between the meridians are being, there's a problem. And I actually, I just had it recently done, and I believe that they're pretty accurate. Yes. No, the one in the back. The woman in the back? No, you.
Where do we see people?
I'm going to give a free 20-minute consultation after my day. You can sign up for time. And I'm not a doctor. I'm just going to tell you what I think you could, how you could get better.
Okay, so what's
It's ashwooddental.com. Ashwooddental.com. Mine is supergoodstuff.com. Perfectly natural. Naturally perfect. No, naturally perfect. It's 6:17. Yes. I'm not an expert in this. That you'd have to talk to a dentist that specializes in it. Yes. Okay, and Huggins is a very, and he's cutting edge and things, but I had a guy that, this is 10, 12 years ago, that went to him, and 2 weeks later had Parkinson's. So not everybody knows everything, okay? And I think if you get somebody to muscle test you, and I believe in muscle testing, even though I'm very analytical, it's like talking to your subconscious. And the subconscious understands what's wrong with you, okay? And the subconscious can tell you if this will work, or that will work, or this middle will work, or that won't. Yes?
What about the application?
I would have it looked at by a specialist. I'm not an expert. I can tell you what causes these things, but I'm not an expert, especially with teeth.
When people have fungus in their system, are they going to have skin rashes?
Okay, this is a good question, and it's usually a liver problem that gets overwhelmed because of the backup and the bile and everything. It starts to throw off waste material to the kidneys to help it along. The kidneys get overburdened, and it throws it to the skin, and that's where you get psoriasis and eczema and everything else. I usually try to fix the kidneys to kind of get the problem thing, then I work on detoxifying them. Anyway, I gotta go. I got a few narratives. I had a printer breakdown right before the show, so I got a few.